Welcome back to the channel, guys. My name's Andy R and this is the Brotherhood of Men. So welcome in, brothers, let's have a chat. So what am I talking about today? Well, today I'm going to talk about something that is this channel. At the end of a lot of these videos, there's the beginning bit about millions of men waking up, and there's the bit at the end. Now there's usually two. One is talking about growing up to be a man and always learning what it is to be a man. And the other one is a phrase with the pictures and music in the background. Now the phrase is hard times create strong men. Strong men create good times. Good times create weak men, and weak men create hard times. Pretty self-explanatory, you would think, wouldn't you? But as I said in a previous video about actions speaking louder than words, apparently self-explanatory phrases, terms, quotes sometimes need explaining, and again this is one of them. And again, it was through a friend of mine who saw it and he says, "Oh, I love that quote at the end. What does it mean?" What? It's self-explanatory. Anyway, first of all, the quote was is from an author. His name was G. Michael Hopf, H-O-P-F, Hopf. He wrote this quote in a book about. I've not read the book, but I love the quote because to me it's self-explanatory. But for those who kind of don't get it, let's explain it. Hard times create strong men. We've seen this in our own history. We've seen it when wars happen. We went in the last century. We went through 2 world wars, massive loss of lives. The men that went to fight those wars came from every walk of life. They were conscripted in to stand against the threat against our country. If you were an allied country of ours, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So if you French, Belgian, whatever, if you're American, Australian, Canadian, and all of the Commonwealth was rallied to help us in both those world wars, and we're forever grateful for you for that help. Now, in that war, as I say, everyday men, the clerks, the miners, the shipbuilders, the farmers, the store runners, every job you can think of, they were conscripted, trained how to kill another human being, and then set forward to face bullets and to shoot bullets of their own, to kill or be killed. So those boys that went out there soon became men, and they will always have our gratitude and thanks. They gave their lives, their futures, sometimes the ultimate sacrifice of literally laying their life down so that we could make videos and whinge about life. They were strong men. The hard times created strong men. Now, strong men create good times. After those wars, we had a boom. Because you can ask any soldier who's seen conflict if he's in favour of peace or war, and I guarantee they're never in favour of war. Soldiers are the last people who want to see peace end, because they're the ones who will have to face the bullets on our behalf. They know this when they go into the army. There are some who look forward to it. There are some who welcome it. They want to test themselves. I can kind of understand that. But those who literally can't wait for it are sociopaths. There's something not quite right. Most soldiers are happy to be soldiers in peacetime. They don't want to go to war because they have to fight it. So those soldiers who came back worked double hard to make sure the peace was as good as it could be and lasted as long as they hoped it would last forever. So you can understand their disappointment after the First World War when we had a second one. But, you know, these things happen. So, strong men create good times. You with me so far? Now, good times, if they last too long, which those strong men hope that the peace and the good times last forever. They don't want to have to pick up the trappings of war again and then go and fight. They hope that what they did was enough, that their society that they came from, whatever country it is and whatever war it was, is now in a state of peace, and they can get on with just enjoying the peace. But the good times, unfortunately, because the men that follow have not been tested like they were, which they don't want you to be tested. They want the peaceful life. They want you to enjoy a peaceful life and not have to face the sheer horror that they've faced. That's what they wish for their sons. And why wouldn't you? If you faced true horrors, bullets and blood and guts and losing your friends, even if you walked away uninjured yourself, it affects you, and you don't want your sons to have to face that. But unfortunately, a man who's never been tested, and this goes back to me saying you really can't call yourself a man until you've tasted your own blood in your mouth. In other words, you've physically fought somebody. Hopefully it would be somewhere safe, like in a ring and that, but you need to test yourself, find your barriers. You need to prove to yourself that you can throw and take a hit, that you can face up to adversity, not just mental adversity or something that happens in the business world. I mean proper physical adversity. So those strong men who created those good times are now raising weak men who've never been tested, who never really know the full mettle of themselves, of being a man. So they end up as weak men. So now we've got hard times create strong men create good times create weak men. Men who've never really been tested. They've never had to go into battle. They've never really, truly had to face true, horrific adversity. But unfortunately, weak men create hard times. Because those men who've never really had to face full on in the face as a generation truly tough times have become complacent and weak and allow so much to happen that is counterproductive for a happy, peaceful society. So we end up with tough times, and we're kind of in that situation now. We're kind of in this clown world where up is down and left is right and backwards and forwards, and men are women and women are men, and everything goes without any logic, scientific backup or common sense. You should just believe this nonsense, because strong men after the hard times will fight tooth and nail to make sure that hard time doesn't happen again. They will castigate, they will vote against, they will do everything in their power to stop stupid people trying to run them off the edge of a cliff again. But you get enough generations of men who haven't really been tested, and you end up with weak men who just go along with the program. It's like, hey, so long as they leave me alone. Well, you know, for how long? Because they're not leaving you alone now, are they? I mean, let's be honest. What are you having to face now, guys? We're coming into tough times. Do you think what you see around you is idyllic? You know, there's a curse in Chinese that says, "May you live in interesting times." And that is a terrible curse. It truly is a horrible thing to say to somebody. Why? Because if you're living in boring times, it means everything's peaceful. There's no conflict. It's where you want to be. Settled, happy, fat and happy is the phrase. Well, interesting times are when there's flood, famine, there's wars, there's plague, there's hurricanes. There's interesting times are when you're having to scrabble round trying to find your own backside and to try and decide which way's up and which way's down. You don't know, because it's interesting, isn't it, when things are chaotic. So it's a terrible curse. May you live in interesting times. When in truth, what you want... Just talking about curse, a little aside here. One of the worst gypsy curses you can ever hear is, "May all your wishes come true." And you think to yourself, well, that's beautiful, that's great, I wish all my wishes came true. Do you? It's a terrible curse to be given. May all your wishes come true. How many times have you said, "Oh, I wish you'd just drop dead"? Or, "Oh, I wish you'd do this," or "I wish you that," without even thinking about what it is that you're wishing. Imagine if all your wishes came true. Yeah, you think of all the good things that you would sit down, work out and wish for, but not all the throw aside things that you accidentally wish upon people, on yourself. "Oh, I wish I was blind so I didn't have to see this nonsense." Or if you're listening to this video, "I wish I was deaf so I didn't have to listen to Andy's ramblings." But imagine all your wishes came true. Now you're deaf. You see? Sometimes something that sounds good is not. So it's a terrible curse. May you live in interesting times. And aren't we living in interesting times? Aren't things... Guys, you know how interesting it is for guys right now. How difficult it is just to be a man and exist. So, when that phrase comes up at the end of the video, read it and take on board really what it's saying. Like I said, I thought it was self-explanatory. And then a friend says, "Yeah, but what does it mean?" Really? When I say something self-explanatory, I literally mean that. It should need no explanation, but so much does need explaining now, especially to younger guys that I don't know what they're being taught, but it's not setting them up for a balanced life. Anyway, my name's Andy R. This is the Brotherhood of Men, and I will talk to you soon because my throat's starting to itch, so I want to go and have a cup of tea. I think I've earned one. Bye now.